And we're live.
Hey.
Hi, everyone. This is our first attempt, my first attempt at pressing the button to go live.
Yeah.
And it's a success.
It's a big deal.
Welcome to one of our mini-sodes.
Yes.
It's just the two of us today. RG and Kurt are on assignment, so we're going to have a short episode this week.
Mm-hmm.
I've been listening to a lot of podcasts, so I'm acting
short
like...
episode. Welcome to today's episode of CCSK Law.
I'm acting like I'm a podcast host.
Yes,
So,
I think that's the best way to do it.
right?
And then you kind of forget that you're on camera and just kind of go into the podcast mode.
Yeah. It helps.
But see, the mini-sode is a metaphor from our name, which is simplified, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I do this all the time, and I make this analogy whenever possible, even though it's not always applicable like today.
Here we go.
But Kar, Chelovich,
Mm-hmm.
Skadberg, and Kazmierzak, like, no one can pronounce that.
No.
So we simplified it and shortened it into a mini name,
Mm-hmm.
CCSK Law, which is a metaphor for our slogan and our thing that we do for people, Law Simplified.
Simplifying things.
For you.
There you go.
And today's a mini-sode, because we're shortening the episode.
Great. So what's going on? Long day?
Long day.
Yeah.
If that rant didn't give you any kind of impression. Long day.
Well, I got some interesting calls and emails from clients and other people just in the community, immigration related.
Okay.
I don't know if you've been keeping up with the news. I've been getting a lot of some frantic calls, some what's going on. Green card holders, permanent residents are getting picked up and deported. So I had a woman who was scared. I had a client who was concerned. People who have green cards, people who don't have status, they're like, what's going on?
Yeah.
So I can talk about that. A couple of things. There was a big story of a Michigan doctor.
Yes,
Did you hear about
I saw that?
Yeah. So I guess he was born in Poland. He came over to the U.S. when he was 5. I don't know if he speaks Polish. Probably not. He became a green card holder, I think in the late 80s.
Yeah.
And he got picked up by ICE, and I think people are saying he's deported. I kind of scanned the article, and from what I could understand was people were saying he got deported because he had like 2 minor criminal theft issues when he was a teenager, and it's been like 40 years. What's going on?
Yeah.
So I read a little bit more. What it seemed like had happened is he did have those 2 criminal issues, like of theft, petty theft, I think, under $100. And then I believe there was also maybe, the sound of my voice.
Yeah, there we go.
There was also a charge later on. And again, I don't know if this is true. I was just scanning the article.
Just an article.
Charged with driving while intoxicated.
Oh.
And then possibly also another charge of domestic violence. So I'm not sure if all of that is true. That's just kind of what I skimmed. And from what I understand, he's actually awaiting a hearing before an immigration judge. So he just was issued a notice to appear. So he actually wasn't deported yet. He was just picked up and he was in detention.
Yeah.
So people with green cards are very worried. They're like, can I just get deported?
Because of like minor...
Because of minor criminal actions.
Right.
And, it depends. Everyone's favorite answer, right?
That's the lawyer answer.
Yeah, it depends.
That's what the law is.
It depends what the crime was. It depends how long ago it was. It depends when it occurred. Did it occur right after you entered the U.S.?
Yeah.
Did it occur later? Was it a crime of moral turpitude, which is a big issue in immigration law? A crime of moral turpitude, that's something, that's inherently depraved or ill, or basically they view it as something against society, right?
Yeah,
so big ones are murder,
don't
rape,
murder people,
aggravated
don't
felonies,
do any of that.
Nope. Things like that will could put you in deportation proceedings potentially.
But if you had
even things,
if you were here when you were 5 from Poland or another country, you committed theft under $100, like small acts of theft when you were a teenager, did nothing wrong for the next 40 years, but the likelihood is probably not great that you'd be deported.
The likelihood is
based off of the criminal acts, right? Like they're not going to hunt you down for the two things that you did when you were a teenager.
Well, before they're, it changes with the who's in office and the different.
I'm throwing a curveball. I'm throwing.
Yeah, it depends, right? Yeah. So some administrations have different priority levels. So some will say, okay, if it's high crime, aggravated felony, occurring recently, and it's someone without any status. These are level 1 people that they're going to try to find. This administration, it seems like it might be, even if you do have a green card.
Yeah.
And, things about immigration with criminal history, crimes that you committed when you were juvenile, you need to disclose. Even if you get some, things, what's the word I'm missing? What's something when you get your crime, like basically expunged. Thank you. Even, expungement for immigration purposes doesn't matter. You still have to disclose it. And even theft is considered a crime of moral turpitude. So, things like dishonesty, fraud, theft can be considered crimes of moral turpitude. So they'll look at your entire criminal history. There are other factors too, how long you've been in the U.S., your ties to other U.S. citizens, things like that, because the immigration judge will have discretion. But yeah.
Well, and so, right now there's just, when you talk about the administration, we have the State of the Union address tonight.
We do.
All right, that's coming on, and this is a big topic. Mm-hmm. This is a big thing because right now there's a big divide within Congress about how to handle this, and we're seeing multiple different proposals between the parties themselves and between the White House, and how that's different from all three of them.
Yeah,
there's a lot of discrepancies of what could happen.
Yeah, and it's I think the Dreamers, everyone I'm pretty sure is familiar with the Dreamers now. I feel like both sides want some type of amnesty or pathway for them, and it's just how to do it. What give and take. Some people want chain migration to end, which is essentially parents and brothers and sisters getting a green card based on a U.S. citizen family, brother or sister or child or parent. Others are merit-based systems. Other people on the other side want to keep that, saying that, America, that's what America's about. Some people want to build the border wall. So there's a lot of issues. We're hoping March 5th is the deadline for DACA, the Dreamers. So we're hoping that something can come through for them at that point.
Hopefully tonight can provide some kind of light on that. On hopefully something that can be not so partisan, but something that can be agreed upon by everybody. There's I don't know. I see all the aspects of the agreement there, and just really, I think it's the partisanship itself is really tough to just watch the bickering almost for the sake of bickering sometimes. So I hope that they can see past that and really just see what is the best interest.
Right. What most Americans would like to see done. This is easy. Just get this done. Help your constituents. But one other thing I wanted to talk about with these stories are the process of getting deported. So if you have your green card, unless this would be extremely rare for you to just randomly get deported unless there's like a mistake or something. You'll likely get detained. You can be issued out on bond, depending on your criminal history, depending on your risk of, your threat to society, things like that. Similar to, a criminal. And then you will go through the process. You'll go before an immigration judge. You'll go at the immigration court. The immigration judge will issue a decision. That decision can be appealed. So there is due process that you can go through. You won't just get immediately taken and deported. I know the headlines make it seem like that. They make it seem like people are getting deported for minor crimes when they were teenagers. But when you kind of dig into it a little bit more, he's waiting for his hearing. He seems to have more criminal actions that might together add up, might deem him deportable. But we'll see.
One of the things that I learned, and so oftentimes you'll see politics use these particular topics to their benefit, and use the media will use particular headlines and topics to their benefit to try to publish things. But one of the biggest things that I've learned is that you can't really know somebody's situation unless you're with them, or maybe you sat through the hearing, right? So a lot of times people will try to guess what they'll base it on a headline. Well, that person's obviously guilty, or that person's obviously this, when really you can't know everything that went down until you actually know the details of it. And so even that one headline, it's scaring people to say, oh, wow, because he had 2 mistakes when he was a teenager, and now suddenly he's being deported. And they make the link between those two because that's what's inferred through the title. But but that's, I mean, it sounds like it's very case by case of where you do have due process rights. And you can appeal that decision, and you can work your way through all that.
And the one good thing, it's not good that it's scaring people, but the good thing is that it's, you know, people who maybe came here as children and aren't sure like what kind of status they have, they're finding out. And there are ways to find out. You know, we can, if you go to an attorney, we know how to get your records. We can find out what kind of status you have. If you are an immigrant, whether you have a green card or you don't have status, and you find yourself in a criminal matter or you've been arrested, I highly recommend you need both a criminal attorney, which we have, Kurt, and you also need an immigration attorney, because immigration goes so fast. And sometimes, you know, I've seen instances where sometimes you don't want to be bonded out of the state jail because you'll get put into immigration detention in a different state, and then you'll keep missing your state trial, your hearing in the state. So we're seeing like all these issues where before maybe you were let out on bond in state court and it was fine, like immigration would wait and let you have your court, your hearing state court. Now that's not happening. So it's really important for you to get both, you know, a criminal attorney and immigration attorney and have them communicate and be on the same page. Because
the systems themselves do not communicate. You have to have attorneys who communicate for you. Otherwise, like I said, the immigration system is not going to tell the state that, hey, this person's in a detention center. Or
they just pick them up, and then the state court's like, where's the defendant? So, and then it can take months to get them transferred back to the state court. I mean, meanwhile, you know, the person has been in detention. So, you know, sometimes it's better to be maybe left in state court or state detention, because you'll have a faster trial there. You know, this is just general discussions.
General discussions about it.
But if you do have questions, feel free. We've got a criminal attorney and an immigration attorney here, so we can talk very easily. So if you have questions,
there's a situation on either one, let us know. And I know specifically Kurt had some additional insights that he'll probably provide next week about his experience with the clash between the criminal and the immigration systems and what kind of problems those can cause. I think you face some similar ones too, but I'll leave that as a cliffhanger. I will put that on the cliff for next week.
Full episode.
Next full episode, yes. Oh, yeah.
Well,
okay.
Anything else?
Well, let's see here. I was going to talk some about the tax bill that was passed.
All right.
Right. So the new act that's out and how that's affecting businesses. And I sat through a whole seminar. I read up on tons of articles, and the biggest thing I learned, the number one thing, get an accountant.
No.
Yeah. So fundamentally there's been a shift from a lot of business to the individual there's less itemized deductions that you can take as an individual. However, they've increased the standard deduction, so there's less people who need to itemize. However, there's this whole 20% that the deduction that's being impacted on businesses, and that's really a big thing that these business owners are trying to figure out. Well, how does that affect me? Right? And some professions are excluded from even getting that. Such as attorneys. And so again, this is a headline thing where you're thinking, oh man, and we're sitting, you know, when I first started, I was like, what? I don't get a.
We didn't know that.
But it turns out, you know, that there's certain parameters that you got to meet. So after you get over $300,000 to $400,000 in income, then it starts to fade out. So if you're an attorney making that much money, that is a problem for you, but it's not necessarily a problem if you're under that.
All right.
Right. So it matters what tax bracket you're in, how much money you're making, as well as it really matters about whether you're holding the money or whether you're dispersing that money, and what entity type you are. So the new C Corp tax rate is 21%.
What was it before?
The old tax rate, man, that was 35%, and so like they decreased that substantially, with the hopes of that passing down through to the employees to help the benefits and help bring companies back to the United States, since a lot of them went abroad, and then now we're back down to a 21. We're down to a 21%, and whether you're holding that money or whether you're passing that money on, like distributing it to the shareholders as a C Corp, is a big difference. But you also have to look at each individual partner or shareholder and determine what tax bracket they are to see whether you should even be a C Corp to get that benefit, or whether maybe you should be an S Corp, which has pass-through taxation. If it wasn't complicated before, business has become more complicated with it. I think the individual side, individually, actually has become a lot easier. And so, you can use, actually, and some accountants might hate this, but frankly, you can use more, online programs to do your taxes as an individual, because frankly, it's becoming easier. Like I said, more people are going to be taking the standard deduction because it's been increased to $24,000.
Also, for those of you in Indiana, if you make under a certain amount, I can't remember, you can file for free using one of the standard programs.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
I believe it might be like $60,000 for a couple. I don't want to say, but yeah. But look at, if you live in Indiana, Google free filing, because what they'll do is you can sign up through one of those programs like TurboTax or the other ones.
There you go. And that's great. Like and so it's become easier. But and some accountants have been worried about that. Like, well, wait, no, they everybody's going to be able to just go online and file. But the business owners now have become more complicated. So there has never been a time that you need an accountant more than right now for you trying to figure out your taxes as a business owner. And so in terms of like all of the percentages and how they work, I'm not going to go into details about that, because frankly, it's best to have an accountant. And there's a principle that, like we go by here, is that it's really a team approach to handling your business. As a business owner, you need a team of professionals to help you. Right? Like you can't, no lawyer or accountant or insurance agent or financial advisor or nobody should be your end all be all and be the person that says, hey, I can take care of all this. I know what your limitation of liability should be. I know how you should be taxed. I know how you should invest your money, and I know what insurance protections you need. And there's also a lot of other professionals you can have too: a good realtor, a good banker, somebody who handles your HR. Right? There's so many different people you can have on your team depending on what industry you are. But fundamentally, you need a team of people, because no one can be your end all be all.
No.
Right? And so I have no problems. Even before this, the Tax Act had been passed, that I was still a fan of using accountants in a lot of this. Now I'm just even more of a fan. It's just even more imperative that you have an accountant help with this. So that's, if there is any tip you walk away from tonight's tips from the bar as a business owner, this is it. Have an accountant who understands this stuff help you with your taxes.
That's my homework for this month.
Yeah.
Yep. So if anyone can recommend a good local accountant, let us know. Yeah.
I have some. Yeah. Well, I definitely have some good business accountants around here too. So people can help.
Let us know. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. You have any questions about that? We definitely work with a number of different accountants, and they're fantastic. Yeah. We have some really good ones here in the region. So all right.
All right.
Okay. Let's see. Okay, Matt, for a mini episode, it's now almost 55. We can stop. 5 minutes early.
Stop at 5. I think we're a little late. So
we did. We started late. We did.
A mini-sode.
Officially,
I got to use my word.
Yep. That's it. Because frankly, honestly, I could just ramble, but I don't think anybody wants to hear that. So we should probably just. Yeah, we should probably just cut it.
All right. Well, thanks. You can find us at ccsklaw.com. You can send us a message through our website. You can send us a message through Facebook. Give us a call.
Yeah.
And thanks for joining us.
Have a good night.
See you next week. Bye.